LeBron, you've been in thousands of moments like this down the stretch. What's the key just on both ends of the floor when things get tight like that?
Just composure. When you put yourself in that position, a lot of times you know how to handle it when it's upon you. And it was my job in the fourth quarter to bring us home, make plays, and for the grace of the man above, I was able to do that.
I mean, you were really leading the way with the passing early, went to the scoring down the stretch there, 16 or your 30. What were you seeing with the defense to go like that?
It's all about reading, reacting, stepping up the defense in the first half to be able to exploit them in the second half. So they seen I was passing the ball a lot in the first half, so it opened up a lot of lanes for me in the fourth quarter or in the second half, and I was able to exploit that.
What are you learning so far about playing with Russell Westbrook?
About myself or about the team?
Just for both, the way that you guys combine and play with the team.
We are a resilient group to start early on. We've had some adversity to start this season already, and feel like we've matched it. We want to continue to build off what we've done over the last week or so, 2 weeks. And if we do that, we give ourselves a good chance to be better and better each month. But it's all about the process and not getting too high, not getting too low, staying even keel, and getting better and learning from our mistakes, learning from some of the good things that we do as well.
Last thing for you, just with Russell Westbrook specifically, LeBron, what are you seeing with him?
Get more and more comfortable. It's always challenging going to a new system, to a new team, to a new group of guys. You always try to see yourself fitting in. But when you're a special player, you got to fit out, And Russ is a special player, and he's being himself over the last few weeks, and we need that. We need the attacking, down the hill, most explosive point guard, NBA history with him and D. Rose, and we need that. So he's been bringing that, and we love to see it.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
All right, we're going to get to LeBron James in a few moments and talk about him and... Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers, Chris McGee, Derek Fisher, Big Game James Worthy, Mike Breslin, Allie Clifton's going to join us in a little bit. We'll hear from Mike Trudell and the players. Lakers get their third win in a row after a first half where the Rockets scored 70 points. The Lakers tightened it up just enough to get the win, and they were led by their big four on offense and 78 points in the paint. Before we get our comments, we are going to go to the star of the night, LeBron James at Staples with Mike Trudell. Game, if you could have bet Fish would look good, you would have bet yes, because you just know it's a lock.
Locked in.
Lock it up. Fish with a nice suit on to start off the year. All right, the Lakers, with their first easy win of the season on Sunday night. They really have been in some battles. The Lakers' big four, they came to play. Carmelo Anthony, we're going to talk about him later on in the show. 5 of 8 from 3. Russell Westbrook, close to a triple-double, 28 and 9. AD, 16 and 13, the double-double. And LeBron, 15, 7, and 8. Fish, I do want to start with you. I know it's early in the season. You've been busy. But what's the early season kind of takeaway from D-Fish?
Not surprised with the inconsistencies that we've seen so far. There have been moments where, it looks like a team that can become that championship caliber team that we assume they will be at the beginning of the season. And then there have been moments where it's leaving you wondering, will this team be able to actually reach that level? I think we have to remain patient, though, overall. Defense is now the harder aspect of the game to get everybody on the same page with in the NBA compared to offense. Mm-hmm. Offense, when you have the talent that the Lakers have, you can put the ball in anybody's hands to get 2 points. But what you cannot do is have anybody on the court to stop the other team from scoring 2 or 3 points. And that's what this Lakers team is still figuring out. Yeah. The coaching staff has a tough job ahead to figure out that balance. THT and Ariza being out complicates that situation a little bit because the glue guys are what this is really going to ultimately come down to, how those guys perform around Russ, AD, and LeBron.
When you and I were talking earlier when you first came and you had mentioned Ariza's name, it just kind of hit me that the one thing that they have been lacking, we've been talking so much about, is that kind of wing defender. They have one, he just hasn't played, and he's not going to play, but he's kind of been forgotten a little bit, so I'm glad you brought up that name. Still some youth as well, THT. Kendrick Nunn. We have not seen those guys in the regular season. Right, James?
Yeah, and I think, we've yet to see, the coaching staff utilize, all his weapons. I mean, we know Tucker is going to be vital. We think of Nunn as a good offensive guy that can create, but his strength upper body. He's a really good defensive player too. So when you think of what they lost, as Fish was noting, the defense is where you're going to get the energy that's going to flow into the offense. But when you lose guys like Pope and Schroeder and Caruso and Kuz, you lose like a big part of that.
A lot of defensive guys right there.
And so that's what they're still trying to figure out, why they're not on that string yet.
How important is it, James? And I know listen, when we looked at those first 10 games, which we did a lot in the preseason, a very favorable schedule. So it's a little disappointing that they're 4-3. We all know why. They let one slip away. How important is it to not overlook the Rockets tonight? A game that you know you should win.
Well, until they knock the rust off.
Yeah.
You know, we saw what happened in OKC, which OKC, they can beat teams if you don't respect them or, you know, take them seriously for 4 quarters. That can happen with Houston. Houston is a young team that's trying to prove themselves. So, yeah, I mean, until you can figure out, you know, when the continuity is going to be there consistently, you got to really compensate and do all the other things, not turn the ball over, take each quarter seriously, you know, the effort's got to be there. You can't give up offensive rebounds. You know, we talk about that all the time until they get players back, then they can connect and have some time. I figure if they could get it together by Christmas or January, I'd be like, okay, we're good with that.
Yeah, that's always the time of year that even for teams that have been together for a while, when you're a veteran basketball team, you know, Christmas is around that time of year that you start to realize what version of our team is here now. Yeah. You know, are we playing at the level we're capable of at this point in the season? And do we have more room to grow? This team clearly has a lot of room to grow between now, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. But arguably, they're going to be playing their best basketball later in the season, closer to All-Star break, into March. Yeah. And if that is the case, you know, they will be able to accomplish the things that a lot of people believed before the season started.
All right, Lakers and Rockets will tip off at 7:30 right here on Spectrum Sportsnet. For more on tonight's matchup, let's get you live to Staples Center. Lakers reporter Mike Trudell standing by with more. Mike?
What's happening? Hey, Fish.
Mikey T.
See you, man.
What's up, brother?
Man, been too long. I'm a little bit more focused, okay? Just having you in the studio as opposed to Big Shot. So that's good. I'm on top of it. Yeah. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is. Anyway, with Frank Vogel, so Gitter, you know the drill lately, right? It's been trying to figure out who's in, who's out. And thankfully, I think it's about the same as what it was last game. But let's still hear that in Frank's words to start the presser a couple moments ago.
Wayne is still in the same place. Practice with G League yesterday, everything went well. Pretty sore today, so I probably won't play him, but it'll be a uniform. LeBron's going to be a game time decision. Anthony's in, Dwight is out, and I think that's everybody.
Do you expect to start the same way you did last game, Frank?
Yes.
And then when you looked at the tape and saw the fourth quarter, was part of that just being up or getting out of some of the defensive principles that you guys had built upon to get the lead? And is there anything you think that applies then for this game with the rematch?
Yeah, I think it was more offensively, even though we gave up more points in the fourth. You know, the ball didn't move well enough in that second half in general, but especially in the fourth quarter. And you know, we weren't finishing when we did get good looks, so they had more runouts. You know, was the biggest thing. Had a couple of defensive breakdowns, but I think it was more that than anything.
Frank, LeBron tweeted last night like how excited he was to play again tonight. So, I mean, what would it take for him to have the decision not to play tonight?
I have no idea. They tell me he's questionable. His game time decision. You know, I'm expecting him to play unless I'm told otherwise. But that he said still list him as game time decision.
Frank, I know you've sort of gone forward with this idea that the starting lineup could change based on matchup. But that being said, as you are getting more into the small lineup look and the rotation, is it a difficult conversation with your centers and to try and talk to them about that?
Nope. They know that we have been at our best over the last couple of years, being a hybrid unit. Where sometimes AD plays the 5, sometimes he's at the 4. They both knew that when they signed here. And, the whole mindset of our whole group is we're trying to win a championship this year, and whatever sacrifice is required, everybody's all in, So it is one of those things that I'll say that, this is just something we're looking at right now. But we do intend to, start big again soon. But like I said, we're just exploring our roster flexibility.